Our next speaker is Amy Coggeshall Laurent, who is speaking about energy, meeting the regulatory needs of autistic people in accessible, authentic, and validating ways. Welcome, Amy.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for being here. Excited to be here. I will tell you that my name is Amy Coggeshall Laurent, and I am representing half of a partnership that some of you might be familiar with. Jacqueline Feedy is over there in the side. We have a partnership called Autism Level Up, and Jacqueline will tell you that she is the autism and I am the one leveling up. ADHD, but allistic. We do a lot of work around supporting regulation and thinking about how do we do that in affirming ways, very much following on the first talk that was introduced today. And so we want to introduce a concept of energy regulation to you as an alternative to emotional regulation. If I can get this to work. Where do I do it? There we go. We know, based on tons of information, that we need to be supporting people in ways that are authentic and affirming to them. As the first speaker, Allison, said today, we know that regulation underpins so many aspects of a person's experience throughout their day, what activities they're able to engage in, the nature of the relationships that they participate in. And so we need to make sure that we're providing support to individuals who experience challenges with regulation in ways that work for them. We know that there's a huge body of literature looking at the concept of alexithymia, and that individuals who are autistic don't necessarily experience emotion in a way that is traditional. They may have really deep feelings, but emotion words might not be able to capture their experiences, or they don't feel that their use of the word is reflected in maybe an allistic sense of the word. So when we look at traditional emotional regulation approaches, they often fall short of providing that authentic, validating support that we're looking for. So we're looking to create what kind of tools can be accessible to somebody, make sure that the autistic voice is incorporated in their creation, and that they really validate experience. I have a few quotes, and I'm not going to read them all, but each one of the concepts that I'm introducing, we have a huge following of autistic individuals who've helped inform our work as we've created it, and all of our work is in response to the community. All of these quotes come from a document or an article that we wrote called Leveling Up Regulatory Support Through Community Collaboration, which is available. It's on my last slide. I'll make sure it goes up. It's public access, so anybody can grab it. But this whole idea of emotional regulation not resonating and needing something different. And this quote saying, until I read about alexithymia, the difficulty recognizing and making sense of emotions, I didn't know my experience was different, right? So when we talk about energy regulation, why have we landed on this space? One, the autistic community has informed us. But two, if we look at the developmental literature, it's very clear physiological arousal and emotion are intertwined, right? And as people experiencing the world, as we were just talking about kind of having that space to be, people often experience the world energetically first. And we know that emotional constructs are a developmental construct. I didn't introduce myself well, did I? I'm an occupational therapist. I did say I had ADHD, right? Okay, so I'm an occupational therapist, degree in special education, and I'm a developmental psychologist. So we know that emotional constructs are built on top of physiological experience. It's a parent recognizing a child crying, and in that social interaction, labeling for that child the reason they think you're crying. You're sad, you're angry, you're hurt. That social construction of a person's experience of emotion happens in that interaction. But we know that social construction of that emotion can be different for autistic people. And so if we strip away the emotional vocabulary, we're left with the concept of energy, which is often more accessible to individuals. And they've told us that very clearly. And it offers a shared language that everybody understands. So again, all of these quotes are available, and I'll encourage you all to read the article. Jacqueline would tell you, if you download the article for free, read anything that's italicized and indented, because it's the voice of an autistic person speaking. Everything else she'll tell you I wrote and you can skip over. It's true. But these quotes are really powerful. Even the last one at the bottom, it's just a parent reflecting on their child's experience. I think it's the only thing he gets. I sort of had it wrong when I was dealing with emotion. Emotions are too hard. They don't resonate for him, okay? And so when we think about this energy regulation framework, we're really thinking about the things that I've already introduced to you. Is it grounded in first-person experience? Yes. Are we developing it in response to the community's request? Absolutely. Flexible. Allison was talking about making sure supports are individualized. That's the hallmark of this type of approach, making sure that it works for the individual and that it can be used across the lifespan. We have had individuals, and we have used it, with the littlest of the littles, early identified, 18 months of age parents starting to use energy language instead of emotion language, all the way through well into adulthood, adults sharing their experiences using this type of framework with them. Again, glorious quotes, you can grab them from that article. But the tools that we've created, I will say you've got two of them on the screen. We're gonna practice really quickly now. If I ask you, how many of you are feeling maxed out and frenzied right now? Your energy is really high. Nobody's raising their hand. Who is amped up and fidgety? Me and like two other people, three. Jacqueline, yay, woohoo! Who's feeling that they are single stream and flowing? They are so into this? A couple, yay. Okay, how many of you are feeling that you are settled and calm? All right. How many of you are sleepy and still? It is almost lunchtime. How many of you are asleep? Or your neighbor is? Okay, nobody. All right, so that's your current energy. You are all in the same activity, experiencing the same thing, but you are all bringing your own energy. That's really an important concept. Here's the next question. How many of you want to be maxed out and frenzied to get through the next 20 minutes or so of this session? Anybody? A couple of you want to bring that energy up. How many of you want to be amped up and fidgety to get through the next 20 minutes or so? How many of you would like to be single stream and flowing to get through the next 20 minutes? How many want settled and calm? Sleepy and still? How many of you really wish you were asleep right now? Fair. Okay. So what's really important is this last question that we're going to ask. And the last question is, do you have a match? Did the energy you tell me you currently have match what you say you needed? So I said I'm amped up and fidgety. I absolutely need amped up and fidgety to get through this. I have a match. I'm well regulated for me in this activity. How many of you felt like you had a match? Your energy's where you want it to be? A fair number. How many of you felt like your energy's too high, it needs to come down? You're dysregulated. You need a tool or strategy, maybe some support, some co-regulation or self-regulation. How many of you felt like your energy was too low and you need to bring it up to be able to pay attention? Most of you. I'm working really hard here. No, I'm kidding. But that's dysregulation. Anyone who's feeling their energy's higher than they need it to be or lower than they need it to be, that's when the regulatory strategies come in. And here's the kicker. You all said you needed different energies. The person next to you probably said they needed something different, right? And when we get into group learning environments like this, how many of you have experienced people saying, we need to get to the ready to learn state? Everybody has to be green. Everybody has to be calm. It's not true. We all need different things to be able to engage and participate. So I will say very quickly, as I'm coming towards the end of my time, if you're interested in these tools, we have laid this out. We have a website where all of these tools and much of the construction behind them is available. It's autismlevelup.com, freely accessible tools. If you really want to dive into the curriculum and understand how it can be individualized, different ages, different communication profiles, all sorts of differentiation, this book exists, and Outside the Box here in Ireland actually carries and presents it. I do also, if any of you are interested, I have several energy meters with me. If you just want to grab one at the end, you can come up and grab it. If you just want to dive into the concept, it has a QR code on it that'll take you to our website to grab this information. But again, the quotes are really powerful, and what we keep coming back to when we listen to the voices that are represented in the article, as well as on our online community, our Facebook community is huge, it's empowering, it's flexible, it's respectful of the neurodivergent experience, and it's useful for supporting engagement for a person in an activity in a way that makes sense for them, as opposed to this kind of outside idea of what regulation is. We do have several research projects going using this type of approach. There is one in the States that is school-based, and it is looking at from primary school up through secondary school, using this as a tier 1 approach so everybody in the school gets it. Not just the neurodivergent students, not just the students with additional learning needs. Every student is experiencing the same programming, and so it's becoming the culture and the community, and it's the initial results are very, very exciting. And so we have several projects going, but there'll be more. Okay, so here's the article. The article is the first one there, the Leveling Up Regulatory Supports, and if you want to get to our website to explore these tools more fully and understand the concepts more fully, QR code will take you there. Or you can come up and get an energy meter later.
Fabulous. Thank you so much, Amy. I think we kind of need a show of hands as to who wishes they had as much energy as Amy, because I certainly do, yeah. If anyone has a quick question, they're very, very welcome to come up. If not, can I just ask, because I was really interested in the fact that you were talking about, supporting parents. This is a hefty tome, and I know you've got the resources on your website. How easy is it to get a parent engaged in this, using that language and supporting their child?
I would say it's shockingly easy, and we have so many families who have actually written to us and said, this has revolutionized our house. And many of them have their own energy meters, and they're using it. And it makes sense, because I didn't have to teach anybody anything. I just said, where's your energy? And everybody kind of knows. Anyone who's had that experience of energy language can follow. Certainly, they're younger individuals, our littles, our 3-year-olds, we're starting to teach this language. So it requires learning like anything else, but most families find this to be extremely accessible, and one of the other things that they really talk about is how non-judgmental it is. It's not like you should be here, it's what do you need, or what does my young person need?
Yeah. Amazing, brilliant. Thank you so, so much. Yeah.